If you ever experience imposter syndrome doing art, this is the video for you. Hi, I'm Nat, and this is Nat Creates. It's a channel that I've just started that kind of follows me along in my pursuit of a more creative life after working online for 30 years. And in this video, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. Please don't mind the external noises. That's my very fun and playful kitty. He might make an appearance. We'll see. So I appreciate you guys coming along with me today. We're in my little tiny studio. Everything around me is tiny. I live in 225 square feet, which is a correction from my first video. If you happen to have seen it, where I said it's a 9 by 9 area and I lived in 165 square feet. I wasn't really thinking, and it's a 9 square foot area in 225 square feet, if you care about those details. So today I thought we would talk about imposter syndrome. You know, it happens in all careers and passions, and it has happened my entire life with art, and always considering myself an artist, but sometimes thinking I shouldn't even say that out loud, you know, because what was I even doing? So yeah, I figured today we would do a little art together here at my my little space and talk about that. So let's get started. Today I'm going to do an entry into my ugly art journal, or ugly sketchbook as they call it. And you know, the art isn't really meant to be ugly. It's just meant to be free, without a lot of thought and without a lot of planning, and just kind of seeing where it takes me. And I'm choosing this kind of concept because I do struggle with imposter syndrome quite a bit. And I do, you know, I want to break free of that a little bit more. I struggle with it here, being, you know, a new on YouTuber person at 57, and I struggle with it, you know, creating art. So I started this ugly sketchbook practice the other day to try to help me work through that. And so let's get started on some automatic art. I'm going to bring you down to my desk here. Okay. All right, new page in the sketchbook. And today we're going to do some automatic art for my ugly sketch entry. And automatic art is just, you know, taking whatever medium you want to take. I'm going to use these water-soluble crayons that I've had most of my adult life. And what happens when you put water on them is they kind of turn into watercolor. And so I'm also going to use a couple of my black pens, maybe even a Sharpie, we'll see. So let's get started. Basically, we'll just talk through it a little bit. And you know, automatic art is not really meant to be something that maybe looks like something. It's just kind of going with the flow and making shapes and lines and using colors and whatever just kind of like comes in as you're working, you know. So I have no idea. I'm just kind of like playing right now, which is another reason I love this concept is, you know, you're just playing. You're not like trying to create the next, you know, masterpiece or whatever. You're just having fun, which is really what I need. So yeah, imposter syndrome. I don't really, this isn't going to be a video on like, you know, conquering imposter syndrome, but maybe it will relate to some of you out there. Let me know in the comments if you struggle with imposter syndrome. You know, I was recently sharing one of my ugly sketches, and it was really cool because some of my friends saw it and they decided they wanted to do some ugly sketches / art on the regular. So I'm trying to make the ugly sketches a daily practice. Like I said, for the reasons I said, which is like, you know, exploring art and just being more free with it. So anyways, friends had started doing their own, quote, ugly sketches. And one friend, she is amazing, and she really had wanted to like do more watercolor and learn watercolor. And so she, when we were together last, she bought a watercolor pad, and she started, you know, doing a little bit here and there. But after she saw the ugly sketches, she was like, oh, I want to do more. So all that to say is she did. And one day she did these really cool jellyfish. And, you know, it was not automatic art. It was like, you know, I want to paint jellyfish. So she did, and she did a beautiful job. And so I shared that post and tagged her. But some of my friends thought that I painted that. And, you know, that was, number one, a huge compliment because they look really good. And I just really am so proud of her for doing it. And then on the flip side, you know, when I said no, that wasn't my art and I didn't do that. Let's pick a different color, Nat. Okay. You know, the person commenting, you know, wasn't meaning to at all. They were trying to be complimentary. But they were like, well, I've seen your work and you could definitely paint like that. And it's, you know, quite possible that I can paint like that. I mean, I don't know. But it kind of triggered a little bit of imposter syndrome because, you know, I know what I'm doing here is not like masterpiece quality. It's just playing, and it's trying to find, you know, my creative voice, so to speak. You know, I've been behind a computer for 30 years. So I always did work for other people in the creative world, whether it was graphic design or web design or, you know, business card design or whatever. I guess that is graphic design. So anyways, you know, I was always creating for other people is what I'm trying to say. And every now and then, you know, I would do a painting or draw something that, you know, I felt like was for myself. But the bulk of my life, I've created for other people. And so this process of working in an ugly sketchbook on the daily, I'm hoping and manifesting that that's going to help me with my imposter syndrome and with just being more free with my art, because I don't really know my art, because I haven't spent a lot of time with my art. And so it's kind of about me finding my creative voice, so to speak. But I think, you know, imposter syndrome feels kind of shitty. And it can be debilitating. You know, and I've been struggling, honestly, for the past couple of days with even doing YouTube. I think, you know, I want to grow this channel so badly that I'm like spending a lot of time researching like they tell you to, and I'm spending a lot of time like thinking about YouTube, and I love it because for so long I wanted to do YouTube and I just never did. I never started. And now I'm actually doing it, but I feel, what is the word? Hesitant, because I don't feel confident with it. And I think when you don't have the confidence, or when you struggle with confidence, it's easier to feel the imposter syndrome. You know, when I first started and did my first video, and the other week, I felt pretty confident, but when I went back and watched it, I could see, you know, that I wasn't. Which comes in line with something else, you know, and I love all the encouragement from the commenters, and I love that I'm even getting comments, and, you know, people are encouraging me to just be myself, and I love that. I mean, that's what I want, is to be myself. But I was telling my husband last night, you know, I think you have to learn to be yourself or at least I do, I have to learn to be myself on video, because as soon as you like push record, you're automatically in a different scenario than you would be if you were talking to a friend. You know, if my friend came over and we were talking, it wouldn't be like I had to think about it. But when you're new to YouTube or like doing videos, you know, that's all you're doing is thinking about it. At least that's all I'm doing. And so it doesn't feel natural yet. So it's a practice, right? You have to practice that. And that's what I'm doing now with art, is I'm practicing it, you know, and I'm practicing YouTube at the same time. And so it might take me a while to feel natural or feel like I'm being myself. Does that make sense? You know, I'm in my head a lot, so let me know what you think, if that makes sense or not. You know, I'm just thinking, if I feel this way, there might be other people that feel this way. So what's kind of cool about these crayons is that they are, you can use them like this, like a dry crayon, but then you can go get a brush. And I have this cool brush. Let me put some yellow in here just for color. I have this cool brush that is already full of water. So it came with my watercolor set, my little travel watercolor set. And yeah, it already has water in it. So all you have to do is to use it. I should have brought over a paper towel. Let me see if I have one close by. So again, this is automatic drawing. I just kind of like got started and made shapes, used colors that kind of felt drawn to. And now I'm using this watercolor brush. And you don't have to use, if you do this, you don't have to use a brush that already has water in it. It's just the easiest for me. I live tiny, and this is something I can just use and then store without making a big thing with water, a bowl of water or whatever. So I accidentally squeezed out a lot of water here, so I have a big glob. That's okay. The whole thing with this exercise is to not really judge yourself, which is, you know, kind of breathes into imposter syndrome. And the idea is just to play and have fun. Some purple going on here. And I might leave, some of these not watercolored. So the nice thing about this little crayon is that you can, you know, use water on some of it, and you don't have to use water on all of it. All right, we're done with the watercolor portion. Now I'm going to take my pen. Well, it's a little damp, so I need to wait for it to dry, and maybe I'll pat some of it. Okay, well, I think my ugly sketch is very close to dry. I just set it in front of the heater, so maybe it'll dry a little faster. But I did go and find these pens that I wanted to use, and I wanted to show you what they are. They are the Faber-Castell artist pens, and they have different points. So you can see that there's like a brush stroke and medium size and a fine tip. I only have 3 in here, so I'm missing one, but I have the ones that I really want. So I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to use some of them on my ugly sketch. So let's go get it, see if it's ready. Okay, well, we're gonna go for it. I wanted to use the thicker line. It's the fine tip. So this is medium. So I'll probably do some with the medium line, and then I might do some with the brush stroke, just depending how it goes here. What I'm gonna do is just follow some of the shapes that I've already drawn. Yeah, brush stroke is working better. And again, it's automatic, so I'm not really planning what I'm doing here. It's kind of doing whatever comes in my brain automatically. Haha. Right now I'm working on some of the areas that are drier because I squeezed out too much water over here. So I'm just kind of like going for the drier areas. This is kind of reminding me like a mandolin. Is it mandolin? Mandala, that's the word. So I kind of go with that. Very loose mandala. How do you say it? I have friends that do those Zentangle things. Let me know if you like the Zentangles. I don't do them. I tried. The reason I don't do them is my hand, I'm 57 and I get cramping. And I feel like the Zentangles, I'm like working so hard to make these repeated lines and patterns. And I absolutely love the output that you can have with a Zentangle. But I don't enjoy actually drawing the Zentangle because of the pain that I have. And I might say something a little controversial here, which is I kind of get bored with doing the same pattern over and over on a Zentangle. So yeah, I kind of realized that early on in the year last year. We had a little group, and we still have the group. I'm just not doing the Zentangles. So all of us, I'm saying all of us, there's like 4 of us that try to, share our creative journey with each other. And the Zentangles look so cool. I just don't enjoy doing them. So this is kind of like a opposite of a Zentangle because it's not repeated and there's no like real pattern, and it's like totally loose, freeform, type stuff here. Well, I think that you may be like me, and I could just keep going on and on. It's just very meditative feeling. It's fun. But I'm going to call it. That's my ugly sketch entry for today. I really appreciate you all following along with my ugly sketch entry today, and hanging out with me. I have to admit, I've been in my own head a lot the past few days with YouTube and feeling overwhelmed, feeling like I'm overthinking everything, and hearing and replaying like comments that I've read. They're so encouraging just to be myself, and then struggling with what does that even mean? But I think the more I do it, the more I feel more comfortable. And like I told my friend, I'm doing it scared, you know, and there's nothing bad that's going to happen to me. And I have to remember that, you know, that this is an exercise in growth for me. And you know, I can't wait to see what comes of it. It's the first time I've tried YouTube where I have this resolve that I'm not going to give up. And the whole synergy with, you know, creating art because I'm YouTubing, and also YouTubing because I'm creating art, is really a beautiful mess. So I don't take it for granted that you're watching and you're subscribing. And if you haven't yet, I hope you will, because we're going to grow a lot and do a lot and build I hope, a beautiful community of people that just love to get their hands dirty and be creative. So we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Hello. Hi. Thanks for joining me. All right. Bye.